There we go. Excellent. Welcome, everybody. So it is right at 6 o'clock. So I want to first commend you for showing up. There were 26 people signed up for tonight's workshop, and some of them, I guess, changed their plans. So what I learned about where people sit is a lot, but I'm not going to say what I've learned. So some of you are front sitters, some of you are middle sitters, some of you are back sitters, and the fact is we're all going to engage. So our content tonight is myths, truths, and consequences. So who follows us on any of our social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, any of that stuff? Oh, we got two. If you don't and you haven't, it would be a good idea to do that. We put up all sorts of good information on there every single week, some funny, some informative, some both. But in our remaining 20, ooh, my clock is off back there, sweet. So my remaining now 29 minutes, we have an opportunity to leave more informed and greater, or just as informed as we show up and waste our time. So my ask is you choose to be open and choose not to waste time. Because when we talk about myths, we're definitely going to talk about some healthcare myths. Some of them may be myths you believe are true. But one of the biggest challenges with our lives is the things that we believe to be true and are not, but we never question, can cause major problems. So Ravi Zacharias, a world-renowned researcher, has stated that the #1 cause of death in the world is ignorance. And I used to think ignorance is a bad word. It's just a word. It only has the attachment we give it. Ignorance literally means not knowing better. That's it. So in myths, truths, or consequences, I came up with a couple of fun ones today. So the first person to get adjusted today had a shirt that said something about bears on it. And it said something like, most people say that if what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, except bears. Bears will kill you. Did you know 6% of the adult population in the United States believes they would win a fight with a bear?
How old is the bear?
Full size. Well, not a cub. I mean, I think I could take the cub. But 6%, which means if you know 100 people, 6 of them think they could win a fight with a bear. And if you were one of them, I don't mean to laugh about it, you can't. I'm sorry, there's no way. Here's another one. So 6% of people, so that's a myth, that's not true. What percent of people do you think believe that chocolate milk comes from brown cows?
I believe that one until I was 8.
So you're 8. I'm sorry, what percent of adults in the United States? It's more than believe they could win against a bear. So at least that's a little more safe. 7% of, according to the U.S. Agricultural Association, who did this study back in like 2020, 7% of U.S. adults believe that chocolate milk comes from brown cows. Here's my follow-up question. Where does strawberry milk come from?
Pink cows.
Pink cows. Wait, have you ever seen a pink cow? So we can have fun, and if it's fun, we're going to learn. And one of my favorite statements that I will almost always refer back to is, it wasn't originally Benjamin Franklin who said it, but he's the most recent person who's been attributed to, is tell me not forget, teach me and I might remember, involve me and I'll take some piece for the rest of it. So whenever we do workshops, my ask is that you show up ready to jump in and be involved in the process. Because we can either leave greater or we can leave just the way we show up. And if we waste 29 minutes or 30 minutes of our lives, that's not so good. If I waste that much of your time and I am not with my family for that time, that's really bad. I basically get to see my kids. One of them is a late sleeper, so he gets up after I leave for work. The other one likes to get up when I get up at 5:15 in the morning, I think just because she wants to hang out with me. I keep telling her, you can sleep in, but I think she just wants to hang out with Dad, because otherwise I get home at the end of the day, and then it's dinner time and bedtime. So anyway, if I'm wasting time and not doing that, then I'm missing that. So our conversation today is myths, truths, and consequences. Please, if you did believe that chocolate milk comes from brown cows, maybe you know that's a myth now, or don't fight a bear.
What was that quote you made earlier? Teach me and I might not.
Teach me or tell me and I'll forget. Teach me and I might remember. Involve me and I'll take some piece of it with me for life. So I think it was originally contributed maybe to Confucius before that. So a little older than, but both smart guys. So, here we go. It's a myth that my clicker is going to work every time. Oh, hey, you know what would help? If it was plugged into the right computer. That's a life lesson. What if the things we're doing we think are good for ourselves, but they're not, because they're not actually designed to be good for us? We don't have time for that tonight. Come on. You can do it. I believe in you. There we go. So we're going to go over some definitions really, really quickly. So a truth is that, I don't know why it's all pixelated, sorry about that. That which is true or in accordance with fact or reality, or a belief that is accepted to be true. That's just simply the definition. It doesn't matter how you feel about it. That's just the definition if you look it up. A consequence is a result or effect of an action or a condition. So what would be the consequence if you were the 6% that think you could win against a bear? And you fought a bear.
Yeah.
You're probably not going to be alive anymore. Now, if you're a grown adult who has a conversation with another grown adult and you're like, I really like chocolate milk because it comes from the brown cows in the field, you'll probably just get laughed at. But some consequences are worse than others. Tonight, some of the big things we're going to talk about is things that we've taught are true about health and healthcare system and simply aren't. So I was in a meeting with our mayor this morning, and one of the things that he stated is that among all the other really cool stuff they're working on in the city, which there's a lot of it coming, they're establishing a healthcare task force for better healthcare outcomes. So I said to him, well, Mr. Mayor, if you want better outcomes, you need a different approach. I didn't call him Mr. Mayor, I call him by his first name, but anyway. And he's like, yeah, I think that'd be good. I think we should have a chiropractor. I was like, no. Not a chiropractor. The chiropractor you know and go to meetings with and have a relationship with needs to be on the healthcare board or task force, because if we use the same approach that put us in the situation we're in, they end up right back in the same situation. So whether he takes me up on that or not, but I will be bothering him on a regular basis. Mostly because it made me uncomfortable to do, and we grow when we're uncomfortable. And a myth is a widely held but false belief or idea. How about this one? If it doesn't hurt, then fall. Or if it's not broke, don't fix it. I had a patient a couple weeks ago. He was really consistent for a long time coming in for his once-a-week wellness care. And he goes, Doc, he's a little bit of a character. I've been doing this a long time. His wife said this just every week, by the way, so you can tell which one is, anyway. He goes, I think I'm going to go to every other week. And I said, really? Why are you going to do that? He goes, well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I said, the problem isn't already broke. That's why you're here. He missed one of his appointments and he came back. He's like, Doc, I think I'm broke. I'm like, I feel like we've had this conversation before. He still doesn't come back every other week. It's cool. We're here to love people and meet them where they're at. So we got a couple. Come on. There we go. So myth, a widely held but false belief or idea. So I was going to do this one a little later. Has anyone ever gone to the doctor with a heart issue and been prescribed an anti-arrhythmia medication? So something to help stabilize your heartbeat. Or know someone who has. Maybe. So if you go and you have irregular heart rate, sometimes high blood pressure, you're prescribed an anti-arrhythmia medication. They came up with this medication in the 80s and 90s. And when they first came up with it, they're like, wow, this is really good. It's really helping people have regular heartbeats again and regular blood pressure again. So when did they start prescribing this medication, just to make sure you're following me on this?
The 80s.
The 80s and 90s. What they actually found when they looked at the research is that medication alone is responsible for somewhere between 56 and 59,000 additional deaths every single year. Because the researchers forgot to look at death. They just didn't think about it for some reason. They were looking at, does this medication solve the problem of the heart issue? Well, statistically, yes, but almost 60,000 additional people a year were dying, which means it was making it chemically correct or statistically correct, but wasn't actually doing anything for the problem. How long ago was 1990? We'll call it
35 years.
before Lexi. I pick on her for age sometimes. Way too much. If it's ever too much, just tell me it's done. So how about 1980? A little longer. So if somewhere in the mid to late 80s and 90s, they started prescribing this medication. And in the 90s, they figured out that this medication by itself was responsible for a minimum of 56, upwards of 59,000 additional deaths a year. What do you think they do with the medication? You would think. I mean, we've seen this all the time. The FDA-approved medication gets pulled by the FDA. Conversation for a different day. But if you go to the doctor today and you have that problem today, what do you leave the office with? The anti-arrhythmia medication. So the myth is it works. The truth is it's responsible for somewhere around 50 to 55 to 60,000 additional deaths every single year, but the standard of care is unchanged, because if they look at just the symptom, here's another myth. If we focus on our symptoms and we feel good, we are good. The symptom itself gets better, but the death actually increases because we're not assessing the problem.
So like the back surgery.
Right. So are there people who legitimately need back surgery? Absolutely yes. So right now, one of my favorite people and the adopted grandmother of my kids, I don't have grandkids, my kids, she's actually at the ER in Philadelphia right now because her back pain is so bad that one of her employees and great friends who works in the chiropractic coaching program that we work with drove her to Philadelphia where her doctor's are. She has already had 2 back surgeries. She is a chiropractor. So back surgeries are not wrong, but they're absolutely overused. So maybe she needs another one. Maybe she doesn't. The last time the surgeon says, you know what, we could do it, we could not do it. Your chance of it being different is 0. If we do it, it's like a placebo. So well, I'm not going to do it. But she's back because it's gotten significantly worse. That takes me off track. So yes, the myth that back surgery is the solution for the problem. And again, I was going to get to this at a later slide, but we're going to draw a picture. I am not an artist. By the way, we're having an art contest right now. You should just take part of it. So the theme of the year, I'm going to talk about this in every single workshop. So Lexi, what is our year-long theme? Okay, you're just back today. Unlimited.
What you told me.
Yeah. Unlimited.
Potential.
Potential. Unlimited potential is this year's theme. Last year's theme, if you were here, was best year ever. This year we chose unlimited potential. And as I was thinking and journaling and visioning for the year, it's unlimited potential because the only person that limits your potential is you. Maybe that's something hard to look at in here. So, are you being troublesome back there? And we have quarterly themes. The quarterly theme is shoot for the stars. So the activity for the week is a coloring contest of making the planet. So the planet that you're going to color looks something like this. And you just go for it. So the winner gets a free laser session. I don't have time to dig into what that means. But in this case, this is a vertebral disc. So vertebral discs also are kind of circular. So if this is the back, so over here comes this thing called the dorsal nerve root ganglion. So the dorsal nerve root ganglion is what turns into the spinal nerve itself. It is the most pain-sensitive thing in your entire body. So if you found yourself in a situation like I found myself in 2018, you had a herniated disc. 98% of the time, where does the disc herniate? Right on the dorsal nerve root ganglion. 98% of the time, the herniated disc herniates in the direction of the most pain-sensitive thing in the body. Now, in my worldview and faith belief, I believe we're created very intelligently and on purpose. So if it's going to herniate 98% of the time, the thing that's many times you've ever experienced this pain, it literally makes you drop to your knees. There's a reason it doesn't. Could it be pay attention to me? Or could it be, that's a terrible dorsal nerve root ganglion. Anyway, not an artist, already said that. Could it be, well, let's go in and throw some corticosteroids in there, or let's take an opioid drug and kill the pain response and go back to the same things that caused it. So the myth in our society is if we have pain, pain is bad, and we should destroy pain. But pain is incredible. It's not fun, but it's incredible because it's an indicator of what's happening. So if you have this herniated disc that herniates right into the nerve root and potentially drops you to your knees in pain, and you seek to kill the pain, what happens to that? Nothing. And not only doesn't get better, it gets what? Worse. It gets worse. There's no other option. It simply gets worse. So if you go the route of the cortical steroid injection, the steroid injection in the spine, so who knows someone who's had one of those? Right? If it was you, what were you told before you got it? You don't remember that. So we're going to do this injection. It's going to help you feel better. Sure. Yes? Right. So the injection itself, it's okay, no pressure.
Oh, no. I would never get another one.
Who knows what it actually does? So the myth is the corticosteroid injection resolves the problem because the pain goes away. The fact is it actually destroys the nerve, eats the joint, and makes the arthritis and degeneration happen faster. There's a reason why people are limited to 3 a year, because more than 3 a year, and whoever determined it does more damage than good. And when we determine that if one kills nerves so you can't feel pain and eats joints, I think that's not a good thing. But if our myth is that pain is bad and destroy pain, then our truth related to that myth is if we get rid of pain, we're successful. But 80%, is 80% a lot? That's far more people than think they can win against a bear. 80% of disc herniations, based on the research, will self-resolve if you remove the causative factor. So if you have a disc, that's fine, I don't need that anymore. There are only 2 ways a disc herniates in the body. One is you get what we call here a subluxation. And over years and 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 years, it slowly breaks down, slowly breaks out, and then you get a herniation just like we see the one here. The other is a massive injury, like car accident, fall off building. That's it. It's long-term problem that eventually shows up, and then someone says this happened today, actually happened 30 or 40 years ago maybe, but it didn't hurt until today, or significant massive trauma. That's the only way to create a disc injury. 80% of that will self-resolve if you remove the causative factor. So most disc injuries, do you think they're massive trauma or a long-term breakdown? Long-term breakdown. So if they subluxation, and they call it misalignment in the medical literature, if you ever want to read up on it, but same thing, different word. If a misalignment of that joint puts stress on the disc and over decades causes it to break down and eventually herniate, what's causing the herniation? The subluxation, which means 80% of the time, the disc will fix itself if you remove the subluxation. But here, if you're here, do we stop it just removing the subluxation? Nope. So there is going to be exercises, there's going to be traction, there's going to be nutritional changes, there's going to be a lot of other things that we're going to educate you on how to do, because I don't know about you, 80% is a B. It's okay, but we all deserve to have an A in our health. So we know that the adjustment itself, if your problem is disc herniation, the adjustment itself is going to have 80% of those are just simply going to get better with the adjustment. But what about the other 20%? That's why we do a lot of other things to make that happen. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So there's a couple other myths that I put up. Bed rest is what I need for my back. That actually used to be the recommendation. They found out that makes it way worse. And my doctor knows best. So we got a couple giggles. Who knows best? God knows best. That's definitely true. It's not me. I have knowledge and skill sets to help you, but you're the one living in your body. If we're taught that the truth is we're supposed to pay attention to all the symptoms, all the issues that show up, and not just as we have done in our westernized society of drug them and destroy them away, then we have a lot better opportunity to change it. If you went to the doctor, we're going to stick with heart. So what's the #1 cause of death in the United States every year? Heart attack. So if you go to the doctor and you have high blood pressure, what does the doctor give you? High blood pressure medication. How long are you on the medication? For the rest of your life. Huh. And sometimes people say things like, if I go to the chiropractor, do I got to do it for the rest of my life? What's the difference? What is the blood pressure medication doing to fix the blood pressure problem?
Nothing. It's just
nothing. It is chemically altering it to bring it down. So just like the anti-arrhythmia drugs, blood pressure medication, if it did what they claimed it does, then heart disease wouldn't be the #1 cause of death in the country every single year. That the heart attack, less than half the people that had their first heart attack survived their first heart attack. Because the medication, again, is treating the symptom, not the underlying cause of the problem. So if we take a different approach of, well, let's actually learn how to change the lifestyle habits that put us in this place in the first place, then we have a chance to actually change it. I think I'm only on slide 2. I don't think I'm going to get to where I'm going tonight. So myth, we already talked about this, widely held but false belief. So here's the truth. We're going to end on truth. And we talked about a couple of consequences already. But the truth is that healing takes time. The other truth is we all want everything right now faster than yesterday.
Mhm.
So sometimes people get frustrated when they're in their process of care and they're not necessarily feeling better. So one thing to remember is if you are choosing to get adjusted, which everyone in the room is, so well done, the adjustment reconnects your brain and body. If your brain and body are connected the way they're designed, everything else works better. So this is the statement, it's the biggest one on the board, on the wall out there. It's the power that made your body heals your body, and it happens no other way. That also means if you have subluxations and you're not getting adjusted, that your body can't possibly work as well as it should. So everything else that you do has a less profound impact on your health if you're walking around with subluxations, whether you feel good or not, because subluxations destroy health. You can have a subluxated joint for 30 years before the disc ever herniates or before the first symptom ever shows up. But if we take that 30-year broken down area, which virtually everyone in the United States to some level has degeneration arthritis in their spine, and we stick a drug in there that's actually going to make the problem worse but help you feel better for a couple minutes to a couple months, then we perpetuate the situation. This week while I was teaching in New Jersey, we reviewed the percentage chance if you go to the chiropractor first with back pain, to if you go to the medical doctor first with back pain, of that resulting in a spinal surgery. So does anyone in the room remember what those numbers were? It's okay if you don't. So let's play, and then we'll end on this note. If you had back pain and you went to your medical doctor, according to the medical literature, what's the chance that that back pain is going to result in a spinal surgery later on in life?
75.
So it's 43%. So it's the 70% success rate. Success rate just simply means that it didn't need to do a second surgery and you didn't die. Well, I wasn't really clear. The literature wasn't clear on that when I dug into it, because it literally meant they didn't need to do a second one. It didn't mean the person survived. It's just they didn't need to do a second surgery because of what happened in the first surgery. That's what success rate means. That's just simply literature. If you're digging into it, that's not my opinion. Maybe the way I said it is my opinion, but that's just what it says. So 43.7 specifically is the percent chance that if you go to your primary doctor first with back pain, that back pain is going to end up in a spinal surgery. What's the percent chance if you come to, say, your friendly neighborhood chiropractor first? What'd you say?
0.
Pretty close. 1.3. Same person, same problem, different vision on what's possible with health. And I'm not anti-spinal surgery. Like I said, one of my great and most dear friends may be on that route. We've had 1 or 2 patients in the entire history of our practice that I knowingly sent that route because they needed it. We've had a bunch that went that route and then came back because it didn't work. That's a different story. The only difference is the perspective of the lens that we're looking through. If the perspective is that the myth is pain is bad and anything we can do to get rid of pain is the right thing to do, or the perspective is function is more important than symptoms, and that we would rather educate and help people be well informed and maybe still have some of the same problems than stick a drug into an area that's going to cause your arthritis in your life to diminish faster and then feel better. So there's a massive difference in the United States, and we're one of the only countries that has done it, that we've increased the lifespan, but we've decreased the health span. So the average American is living longer than they did in the past, but on average, the last 12 and a half years of their life are spent in things like assisted living and nursing homes. So we've increased the time people are alive, but their quality of life has gone up.
I think that's the most depressing thing I've heard today.
What's that?
I think that's the most depressing thing I've heard today.
But it doesn't have to be. So where we're going to end in our last 4 minutes is here, there. So Lexi, if you can hand these out. There's more than you need. So this, I'll take one, is what's called the Old Town Family Chiropractic Referral Brochure. So we just made these brand new, so they're crisp and clean. And I guarantee something we talked about tonight in myths, truths, and consequences, you have people you know and love and care about that are living in healthcare myth land who don't know it. Arthritis doesn't happen because you got older. Arthritis only happens in 80% of the cases because the joints weren't moving right for a long time and broke down. Just like the tires on your car, if they're out of alignment, do they last longer or less long? Less long. And if you just keep putting on new tires, what happens? You just keep wearing your tires out. So the referral brochure and where we're going to go in the next moment or two, because I left myself with 6 minutes, which I'm successful. I was going for 6 minutes, even without a clock back there, is you're going to pick the person you're going to share this with. So these are not floating around the office. These are very special. They're only behind the front desk. Primarily, only Lexi has the ability to do anything with them. But it's on heavier cardstock that we picked the feel of on purpose. All the graphics, I would change it a little. I'd make that blue a little darker. But hey, this was our first run at making a brand new version of it. But it answers some of the most common questions. And then this little guy is one of the most key important parts to it. What this does is it gives the person you share this with the opportunity to come, or it says, entitles you to a prioritized health screening with me or Dr. Ashley to understand your unique health concerns. What that means is if you know someone who you thought of, which if you thought of them, you know them, but this evening, it gives them an opportunity to say, is what I believe about my health and my life true? Or do I simply believe it's true because that's what I've been taught my whole life, and is there a better option? So some of you in the room are here because you got one of these in the first place. So I'm going to start with you. Who are you going to give this to?
I've got aunts and uncles who make the comment, or maybe a coworker. I'm trying to decide which I like more at that time.
Aunt, uncle, or coworker?
I won't lie.
So which one would you be more excited to see maybe getting adjusted at the table next?
You spend more time.
Coworkers.
Yeah.
Coworkers. Okay, so maybe it's coworker. So if that coworker was here, whatever's happening with them, maybe it removes them possibly complaining about the reason you're thinking about them. While we're not treating your symptom, let me be super clear. Chiropractic is not symptom relief. A lot of chiropractors do it. I firmly disagree with that. Chiropractic is really about how we help elevate your health to be at its greatest potential. So what we're going to do is we're going to put that person's name on it. They expire 2 weeks from today. So we got to make sure we put that date on there, because if there's no urgency, then there's no action. So they do expire 2 weeks from today, which is going to be the 28th, by the way. So I like easy math. So what's the name of the coworker it's going to?
Oh, I haven't decided yet.
Oh.
Like, this is what brought me in.
All right,
So
I'm going to come back. You're going to need your name before we go. All right, how about for you?
I would think my mom's a West Falls, so my daughter.
So 10 for you. So put your daughter's name on this piece and the date of the 28th. That's what we're going to do. So who are you going to share with? We already shared it. So now that you're here, who are you going to share with? Love it. All right, how about for you?
You're Shannon one? You're Shannon?
You should be here. He keeps telling me he's not here yet. Though.
I don't know if anyone.
Bro,
Yeah.
can I get bro?
I don't even know anyone.
So don't fear if they will or will not. We don't know until we get that.
So they got
Bert.
bro. Bert. Okay.
Okay. We used to have a chiropractor at MS. We had a patient with MS. Do I have time for this? Yes. Patient with MS when I was still in New York. Adjustments and slight nutritional changes. Their MS plaques in their brain cut in half within 6 months. So MS doesn't preclude someone from getting chiropractic care. It's another reason for them to get chiropractic. You got it filled out? Look at you.
It's my daughter's bus driver.
All right.
My brother-in-law.
Brother-in-law, what's your brother-in-law's name? Nathan. Nathan. All right. You got to pick somebody.
I'll go with my uncle. Ben
Uncle. All right. What's your uncle's name?
William Stephen.
Awesome. So once upon a time, chiropractors said things like those who get adjusted have an immune system that works better. That adjustments help people with autoimmune diseases. What did the medical profession do? They snubbed chiropractors. They said we're unscientific. They said we're quacks. All these things. What is the most recent research on the immune system and the nervous system, if you're aware of this? If not, that's why I gave myself a minute. Your nervous system and immune system are the same thing. So the published research is your immune system and your nervous system are the exact same system, which means if you're getting adjusted, you're helping your nervous system get healthier. What else gets healthier? Your immune system. I'm still waiting on the apology letter. Hasn't happened yet. So share those with those people. If you need more, I brought like 25 back here because 25 people signed up, but you're here and you have an opportunity to change and save their life because someone adjusted and informed and that knows more as an opportunity to have a saved life instead of one that could be mutilated by well-intended doctors whose tools are based on symptoms, not health. Fair? Have a great night.
Would you say the expiration date was?
The 28th. So it's good. They're good for 2 weeks.